My name is Emily. I'm a 62-year-old housewife. My husband, whom I had been with for many years, suddenly fell ill and passed away 2 years ago. Now, I managed to live modestly on the inheritance my husband left behind. I have 2 sons. Both of them are already married, but when Tom, my eldest son, was getting married, he suggested that we live together. I told him, I appreciate your concern, but I'm still fine on my own. I wouldn't want to get in the way of newlyweds. Tom said, I can't leave you alone to die a lonely death. I'm the eldest son. Let me take care of you. Don't think of it as a bother. So, we decided to live together. Tom's wife, Catherine, is still young. She's 23, which is 9 years younger than Tom. At first, I was worried if such a young girl could handle being a wife, but she was Tom's choice. I had no reason to oppose, so I accepted their marriage. When we were discussing living together, I asked Tom, is Catherine okay with living with me? Wouldn't a young lady dislike living with an old woman like me? Tom said, it's fine. Catherine is kind, she'll get along with you. Plus, having you around will help her with household chores. He was adamant about us living together. Having heard that, I found no reason to object. Indeed, considering my age, it might be too late if something were to happen. Living alone might not be as reassuring, so I gratefully accepted Tom's offer. After a while of living together, I once asked Catherine, could you please take the laundry out of the dryer? I'm heading out for grocery shopping. Until then, I hadn't asked her much, but that day I had some urgent tasks before shopping. So I had to ask. Catherine said, why do I have to do it? I'm busy right now. Why don't you do it before you leave? I noticed she was just playing a game on her smartphone. Until then, she hadn't helped with any house chores, but I had avoided mentioning it out of consideration for her. However, seeing her just lying down playing a game, I said a bit sternly, can't your game wait? Please help out a little. You're so annoying. Whoever is free should do the chores, right? You can take the laundry out before going shopping. So bothersome. She grumbled and glared at me before heading out to the utility room to get the laundry. I was stunned by her rude response, but thinking that further words might worsen her mood, I just left the house. From that day, Catherine started to harass me. Ignoring me became a regular thing whenever I tried to talk to her. I can't eat this. Hey, Tom, let's go out and eat, just the 2 of us. Catherine would say this when she didn't like the food I prepared and would go out to eat, leaving me behind. Think about Mom too. She went through the trouble of making this. Although Tom tried to be considerate of my feelings, whenever Catherine was in a bad mood, he would end up saying, sorry, Mom. We'll eat out today and just go along with Catherine's wishes. Catherine kept saying it's only natural for me to do all the housework as if I was entirely reliant on Tom. You know, you're not working, right, Emily? Isn't it embarrassing to rely on Tom for everything? Given your age, isn't it normal for you to do all the house chores? Although Catherine claims I don't work, she herself doesn't have a job either. However, she acts as if supporting Tom, who does work, makes her superior, even without a job of her own. I never mentioned to Catherine that I actually do have a job. I manage an apartment left by my late husband and have a small income from it. I've been contributing to the household expenses, so it's not like I'm completely dependent. Yet, in Catherine's eyes, if I'm not working outside, it equates to having no income. Catherine seemed to think that Tom was the one covering all the expenses. Can you clean a bit more quietly? It's so noisy. I was just using the vacuum cleaner as usual, but Catherine seemed to be on the phone with someone. Hello? Sorry about that. Yeah, it's Tom's mom. She's really noisy. You know. I wish she'd do her chores quietly. Being patient as I am, I was taken aback by her comments and told Tom about what had happened that day when he came home from work. I'm not saying I want her to do everything, but Catherine isn't helping at all with the chores. It's not just that, she yelled at me just for vacuuming. It's normal to share housework, and I'm willing to do my part. But I'm at my limit if I have to do everything on my own, especially when I get complaints. I'm sorry. I don't think Catherine meant any harm. Maybe she was just in a bad mood today. I'll ask her to help out more. Please overlook it for today. Still, I hoped that Tom would talk to Catherine, so I continued to watch the situation without saying anything for the next few days. Half a year has passed since then. Catherine's attitude hasn't changed at all, and she doesn't even show a hint of doing housework. I was completely exhausted from doing chores for 3 people and from constantly being considerate of Catherine. At that time, I unexpectedly received an invitation from my second son, John. "Mom, your birthday is coming up soon, right? Since Tom and Catherine will probably celebrate on the actual day, how about letting us celebrate for you today? Karen seems to have something she wants to give you. How about going out for a meal?" John and his wife live in an apartment about 30 minutes away from our place. We didn't often get the chance to meet, but Karen, John's wife, is very kind and gentle. She truly cherishes me. When John invited me, I joyfully replied, "I'm so happy. Of course, I'll come." That night, after preparing dinner for Tom and Catherine, I went out to dine with John and Karen. They booked my favorite restaurant and said it was for my birthday gift, presenting me with flowers and a bag. I was having such a good time after so long that I couldn't help but express my true feelings, saying, "This is so healing. I haven't felt this happy in a while." Hearing that, John asked with concern, "Did something happen with Tom?" When you say happy for the first time in a while, it makes me worry. Have you been going through some tough times recently? I didn't intend to complain, but I explained to him that Catherine doesn't help with the housework at all, so I do everything by myself. I also mentioned being told I'm too loud and hearing hurtful remarks from her. After exchanging glances with Karen, John said, "Look, if it's tough for you, you don't have to force yourself to live with Tom and Catherine. You can live comfortably with the stock, dividends and apartment rent income left by Dad, right? You're only living with Tom because he wanted to, even though you don't really need to rely on him. If Catherine is treating you like that, and Tom isn't helping, you should consider not living with them. If it's hard for you to bring it up, I can step in and talk about it. If you ever feel lonely living by yourself, we're here to live with you. I love you so much. And you don't have to be on your toes around us," Karen kindly offered. I was so overwhelmed with happiness that tears formed in my eyes. Responding to their kind words, I said, "Thank you. But I want to try a little longer. They are precious family members after all, aren't they? I still hope to come to an understanding with Catherine." Feeling the support around me, I decided in my heart to keep pushing forward. That day, after parting with John and Karen, I came home to find the bowls they had used left in the sink. With a sigh, I was about to clean them when I thought, it's become expected of me since I always do it. I'll leave them as is today and have the 2 of them clean up in the morning. And with that, I left the dishes and went to bed. The next morning, as I was preparing breakfast, Catherine woke up. I said to her, "Good morning, Catherine. I'll take care of breakfast. Could you wash the dishes you both used yesterday?" However, Catherine simply ignored my words. She went to the sofa and began to play with her smartphone. I couldn't help but raise my voice at Catherine's attitude and exclaimed, "It's basic courtesy to wash the dishes you've used." Catherine retorted, "How many times do I have to tell you? That's your job as the mother-in-law, right? Ever heard of the saying, 'He who does not work, neither shall he eat'? Since you eat every day, you should do the housework." Hearing our exchange, Tom quickly got up in a panic and asked, "What's going on so early in the morning? A fight?" He looked puzzled as he peered into my face. I sighed and said to Tom, "All I did was ask Catherine to wash the dishes you two used yesterday. I'm just pointing out the obvious." After hearing my reply, Tom said in an annoyed tone, "Really? So early in the morning over this?" He was about to go wash his face when I interrupted. I couldn't contain my frustration and shouted, "It's not just about this. Every single day, I take care of all the household chores, including both of your parts. Do you know how hard that is? The least you could do is wash the dishes you've used." Hearing me shout, something I rarely do, Tom quickly said in a panic, "I'm sorry. I'll wash them." Catherine stopped him and remarked, "Why? Why should Tom, who works outside, have to do such chores? You're indebted to Tom, so you should be the one doing it." She continued, "Such a burden with your pensioner life. Just leave this apartment." I reached my breaking point and said, "Why should I leave my own home? The lease is under my name, you know?" I then turned to Tom and said, "Tom, you understand, right? Catherine seems to be misunderstanding something. It's you two who need to leave. I can't bear living together any longer." Catherine, looking taken aback, asked, "What do you mean? How can you, who doesn't work, afford to rent this place? Weren't you relying on Tom all this time?" I explained, "I'm the landlord of this apartment. I'm not renting it. The apartment itself is mine. Yes, I haven't worked outside. However, Tom's father left me stocks, this apartment, and land when he passed away. From managing these assets, I earn enough to live on my own. I've never financially depended on Tom. Since we started living together, I've been covering most of the utilities and food expenses." Catherine, in shock, turned to Tom and asked, "Does that mean we've been living almost without spending any of our own money?" Tom stayed silent, only nodding in response to Catherine's words. I added, "Tom might have wanted to show off in front of you, Catherine, but there's no way he could cover all my living expenses and also afford to take you out for meals and shopping. His salary isn't that high." Realizing the gravity of the situation, Catherine's face turned pale. She quickly said, "I'm so sorry. I was unaware and spoke out of turn. Please forgive me. Moving forward, if our living together comes to an end, Catherine will not be able to live as she has been." She understood that and kept repeating "I'm sorry" in a panicked manner. I told them, "I won't say I won't forgive you. We are family after all. But living together is impossible. We'll end that arrangement. You two should rent a place and live by yourselves." Tom responded, "I worry about you, Mom. From now on, both Catherine and I will help with the household chores. I don't want to leave you alone because I'm concerned." I assured him, "I'll be fine. If you're that worried, I'll live with John and Karen." When we went out for dinner recently, they told me I could live with them if I felt anxious about living alone. I thought I could give it another try with you and Catherine, but I've realized it's not possible. I don't want to be a burden to John and Karen, but I'll ask them to stay close. Sensing my firm decision, Tom said, "I understand," and chose not to argue further. Catherine, however, exclaimed, "So, you're abandoning us? After all the care we've given you?" As if to suggest that I was the one at fault. I felt it was pointless to argue with her, so I said nothing further. Within a month, Tom and Catherine found a place and moved out. Due to the cost of rent, it seems they could only afford a very old and cramped apartment. Catherine, who hadn't worked before, apparently started a part-time job to support their living. Tom mentioned that every day she constantly complains about juggling household chores with her part-time job. It seemed like the fights were never ending, and Tom appeared to be completely exhausted. "If Mom would forgive me, I'd want to live with you again," he often messaged. "But I'm done with that experience." After Tom and Catherine left, I started living with John and Karen after a while. I told John it's not necessary, but he said, "Both Karen and I find it more helpful living with Mom." Also, Karen really wants to live with Mom. She wants to learn the taste of Mom's home cooking, offering to live together. "You can speak up if there's something you dislike, okay? For household chores, we'll handle what we can," he said, ensuring that neither of us feels overly burdened. Together with Karen, I cook and spend time enjoying my hobbies, leading fulfilling days. I am truly happy now. I hope to continue living without ever ruining this happiness.